To order at 7 p.m. Roll call. Pete Wilker,
Present.
Valerie Hill,
Yes.
Adam Blakely,
Yes.
Joe Schaller,
Yes.
Rachel Albert. She has recused herself. Marty Cox. And William Houston.
Yes.
The first thing we need to do is we need a motion to approve the meeting minutes from case number 2023-04B. Guys, I've sent those to you. You had a chance to look at them.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second,
Second. All in favor, say aye. Want to announce it or I announce it? That's
all
my
you.
turn. All right. I hope you can hear me. I'm hearing impaired. I have no feedback. That's what it sounds like. Loud speak. Tell me if you can't hear me. Purpose of this public hearing is to review case 2024-01 CU filed by the SRM Materials LLC, property located at the northeast corner of Carlisle Park and Butter Street in Germantown, Ohio, Germantown. The applicant is requesting a conditional use according to Article 4, Section 403C of the German Township zoning resolution for aggregate extraction on these parcels. An extension of the existing facility located at adjacent parcel to the west, also owned by SRM Materials LLC. As members of the Board of Zoning Appeals, it is our duty to cases at public hearing and render a decision for or against the request based on the application, staff report, testimony, evidence presented and heard at the public hearing. All testimony during this hearing is required to be under oath. We'll ask at this time anyone wishing to present testimony, please raise your or her right hand for swearing in. You swear to solemnly tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help
I did.
you God.
yes.
If you had not sworn in, if you're asked to come up to the podium, I will swear you in. Just remind me if you haven't been sworn in. You need to be sworn in. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, say I do.
I did.
You will be asked to state your name and current address the first time you address the board. After that, you just need to tell us your name. Please wait before being recognized by the chair before speaking. Everyone will be given an opportunity to voice his or her comments in an orderly fashion. Now I'll introduce the case and we'll have the staff report.
The applicant is SRM Materials LLC, 9330 Eckhart Road, Germantown, Ohio, 45327. Property location is approximately 133.842 acres on two parcels located at the northeast intersection of State Route 123 and Butter Street in an agricultural district of German Township, Montgomery County, Ohio. The applicant is requesting conditional use approval for aggregate extraction on these parcels, an extension of the existing facility located on the adjacent parcel to the west, also owned by SRM Materials LLC. In reply to the additional information requested in Article 45 of the German Township zoning resolution, the applicant has stated that this reclamation project is necessary due to limited construction material in the area and a rise in the need for construction materials. With approximately 1/4 of an acre of reclamation per year estimated, the approval of this conditional use request, SRM estimates it would allow for the extraction of sand and gravel for 50 years, reducing the risk of supply shortages for the concrete, gravel, and construction industries. The applicant states that the proposal for expansion across Butter Street would have minimal impact on the associated neighboring properties as there are natural barriers due to the existing topography, vegetation, and tree line. To help mitigate concerns from residents, SRM Materials is limiting the activities to approximately 32 acres at the southwest corner of the property. According to the United States Department of Agriculture Web Soil Survey, this parcel is made up of a mix of different soils, which I have provided you all with a map, and the highlighted parts are the prime soils. The general focus of the proposed extraction area being made up of box silt loam and Ockley silt loam. Box silt loam is considered prime agricultural soil by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and that portion of the property prime farmland according to section 206.02 in the German Township zoning resolution. A hydraulic survey was conducted and presented to the members of the Board of Zoning Appeals for review. In accordance with Article 4, Section 404.03, the public notice was published in Germantown Press on February 22nd, 2024, sent to local residents within 300 feet on February 15th, 2024. Application, survey, legal descriptions, plot plan, copy of deed, list of neighbors within 300 feet, and other pertinent information has all been submitted. Standards for conditional use, 406.05. Compliance to resolution. If the conditional use is granted, the current plans will comply with applicable regulations of the zoning resolution, including lot size requirements, development standards, and use limitations. Adequate utility, drainage, and other necessary facilities have been or will be provided. Access roads, entrance, and exit drives. The applicant is proposing an access point from Butter Street that is directly across from the existing access point. The only access point was to be off Eckhart Road. They will need to obtain a permit from Montgomery County for the proposed Butter Street access point. It should be noted that in the original application for sand and gravel extraction from 2002, that there was to be no access points from Butter Street or State Route 123. There are permits that are required by the state for this project. The applicant will be amending the existing permit since the property is adjacent to the existing facility. For representatives of the state, zoning approval is needed prior to submission for the state permit. In addition, per the laws and regulations for industrial materials, industrial minerals, surface mining, and reclamation, a reclamation bond is required and held by the state. It is returned to the operator when it is determined that the reclamation completed is in accordance with the plan. Failure to complete reclamation may result in forfeiture of the bond to the state. The state then assumes responsibility for completing the reclamation. The subject parcel is located within an agricultural district. The location and size of the conditional use, the nature and intensity of the operation involved or conducted, and the location of the site with respect to street giving access to it should be in harmony with the appropriate and orderly development of the district in which it is located. Noise may be a concern. However, the applicant states that existing vegetation will be kept in place in order to help mitigate the noise and sound to the adjacent properties. This land is currently used for farming crops and will only be used for sand and gravel extraction. No buildings or structures are planned for this parcel. There will be no processing plant, and machinery necessary for the extraction operation will be placed here. The applicant states the top of the reclamation pond will be approximately 40 feet lower than the closest adjoining property to the east, which will provide enhanced protection to the adjoining residents. There will also be a 10-foot tall berm as required in Article 45. There is no exterior lighting being added here at this time. The conditional use desired should not adversely affect public health, safety, and morals. I consulted Stephen Breidenbaugh at Montgomery County Soil and Water to see if there should be any concerns over wells on neighboring properties. He sent me a study of sand and gravel pits that showed when blasting and dewatering is used for mineral extraction, it can depress the water table, altering water flow paths and affecting nearby wells, springs, and surface water bodies. However, when sand and gravel is mined by dredging with no dewatering or blasting, there was no significant impact on groundwater levels in the surrounding area. SRM states that there will be no blasting or dewatering, but rather a drag line will be used to extract sand and gravel. Therefore, the effect on neighboring wells should be minimal. Current aggregate extraction operation includes 3 monitoring wells that are regularly tested with reports going to the EPA. If the conditional use is granted, the applicant states that they will continue to do this on the new site as well. In addition to any restrictions placed by the board, the applicant is subject to the requirements in Article 45 of the German Township zoning resolution.
At this point, I'm gonna add some information, some more instructions. This is a quasi-judicial proceeding being recorded, so the audience should refrain from asking questions to any witness or applicant or their agent, or having conversations among yourselves. Only the BZA members may ask questions of the witnesses. I realize we have numerous people here that want to testify. Therefore, I will restrict the testimony to less than 3 minutes unless the BZA members have questions. All testimony should be relevant to one of the 8 conditional uses. She just read some of them off. I left a copy of the 8 standards at the podium. The BZA members will be voting on these 8 standards. The voting outcome will determine whether the conditional use is granted granted with restrictions or denied. For example, conditional use cannot be granted if the board majority votes against any specific standard. One or more of these standards may be voted for denial. If the applicant decides to appeal to Montgomery County Police Court, the magistrate will either affirm or overturn the denied standard. The magistrate will review the testimony given at the hearing, and they will evaluate whether there was sufficient evidence that was sustained, reliable, and probative to support the BZA decision. Therefore, your testimony that is not probative, does not prove anything, is immaterial. I may ask you to sit down if your testimony does not address one of the 8 standards, or use does not prove anything, or is repeating previous testimony. After conferring with the Montgomery County Prosecutor's Office, I was authorized to introduce a magistrate's ruling 2008 on a proposed sand and gravel operation on State Road 123 that was 0.8 miles from the proposed sand and gravel. The process is being evaluated tonight. I will now provide a copy to each board member of that ruling. The applicant here, the agent. Is the applicant or agent here? Have a
I'm
copy?
an agent.
Okay.
Thank you.
For you. And one for me, and I have one for you. You're there. Copy. In summary, this BZA in this case denied the applicant moraine material on 4 standards. The magistrate overturned 3 of these denials and only affirmed BZA denial of standard 40605. Additional use will be in harmony with the appropriate and orderly development of the district in which it's located, with respect to its location and size, and the nature and intensity of the operation involved. See page 8 of the ruling. There's that. The complete application in 8 hard copies was only received at the zoning office on March 6th. Article 45 of the zoning resolution stipulates that this hearing should be scheduled at least 30 days after receipt of the application. So after consultation with the Township Trustee for Zoning, Mark Cross, and the Montgomery County Prosecutor, Nathaniel Peterson, Township Attorney, I decided to schedule the hearing today. I personally was on the BZA when we heard the original Lidle sand and gravel operation at State Route 123 that ends at Butter Street. In that case, we had an initial hearing, listened to the testimony, and then the BZA members went into executive session. We then identified 5 questions and asked Scott Weidel, the owner, to retain qualified consultants to answer those questions. We then tabled the hearing, rescheduled 2 months later, heard the expert testimony, and then decided the case and granted that conditional use. The applicant's agent had told Shauna that he was requesting a preliminary hearing on the submitted partial application, which the board received on the 21st of February. I then received a complete application on the 7th of March. I have carefully reviewed that application, and based on my experience of the 2 previous sand and gravel cases with Lidle and moraine material, I also attended the 2019 zoning board hearing on the rezoning of the proposed parcels from the agricultural district to the industrial district. So I have developed 5 questions that I want to present to the applicant. Now, at this point, we need to decide whether to continue tonight your testimony. You weren't given an opportunity to review the full application. So is anyone there that wants to proceed with the review of the partial application? Do we want to continue? Okay. So I guess what we'll do is we'll hear your testimony, and if you people bring up other questions, we'll add this to my list, and then when we go into executive session, we'll decide what questions we may have to ask the applicant. Clarify.
So does that mean you would read this? So you would have to read that to us?
I can't hear you, sir.
If I have not seen an application or seen any copies of it, and I said no, would you have to read that to us right now?
Can you come up to the podium? I cannot hear that back there. I will now turn on a remote mic. Okay.
Hello, my name is Earl Burgett. I live at 8830 Farmington Road. I can barely hear you. And if I wanted to see this partial, you say? Or will you read that to me? I've never seen a copy of it.
What I'm saying is we received a partial application on the 21st of February. The BCA members had an opportunity to receive the whole application on the 7th of March. We're typically supposed to have 30 days to review the application.
You did receive one on March 7th, a whole application. Yes.
So I was asking if anybody here wanted us to continue, or we could table the hearing to allow you to review the whole application.
That we can go ahead and delay this a year?
Pardon?
Just asking. So if we say no, 30 days, and then we meet back here?
Yeah, that would be the option.
Okay, I have not seen it.
Well, when
I would like to.
so are you making a request that we table?
No, you don't. Yeah.
Okay, no, we'll go ahead. I just wanted to make sure.
All right, let's continue. We'll now hear testimony from the applicant or their agent. Do we have the applicant or agent present who wants to testify?
I'm the agent, Doug Ernst is supposed to be here.
Excuse me?
The general manager is supposed to be here, Doug Ernst, and I'm hoping he's here.
To present? It's 7:15.
To my knowledge, they were going to be here, and someone from the engineering department was going to be here.
Montgomery County engineer or,
Penta?
okay, from Penta Engineering?
Yeah. But what if they're not?
It's their opportunity to be here. They're not here.
It is, it's 20, yeah.
All right, we will now move on. I am now going to ask those that want to testify in favor of the application, please indicate that would like to speak. Is anyone here in favor of the application? All right. That being said, we'll now ask those that want to speak in opposition. Please indicate that you want to come forward, and I'll recognize you. Anyone want to come up to the podium?
Someone has to start the party.
Name and address.
My name is Michael Osborne, and we own the farm at 10080 Carlisle Pike, which is our family lived on for 3 generations and abuts the property under discussion. We joined that property right on our border there. As a community, we have spoken against mining permitted on this property before. We're here again tonight to continue to oppose the conditional use request for aggregate mining. As there are a lot of people here that want to make their voices heard, I will attempt to keep my comments short and to the point. For a conditional use request to be approved, as you have stated, it must pass the review standards listed in Article 45, Section 4507. I hold that the application must be denied because it fails under several of the listed requirements. I will express my opinions on these. On Section N, the 10-foot berm that's required around there to minimize the visual impact of the operation. The mining operations fails because the working floor is at 708 feet. And my front porch and the adjacent subdivision is an elevation of 740 to 750 feet. It's been stated that the vegetation would block the view from that, but it does not completely block the vegetation. Most is invasive. And with a mining operation that will continue for the number of years, it's a good chance that most of that will not continue to be there. So it's a moot point to say the vegetation will block that, and the 10-foot berm would not block it from our 30-foot higher elevation. In addition, one of our area public parks is Highview Park on EB Road. That's at an elevation of at least 150 feet above the working floor of this part, and it would ruin the view shed from that park because it would be directly in line with that. So it fails under the 10-foot berm to minimize the visual impact. Also under Section G, which is the application shall create a satisfactory and harmonious relationship between the site of the existing road, and Section J shall eliminate any conditions hazardous to health or safety and shall not create a nuisance. I hold that it fails on both of these tenets. First is the property value loss, which is a fact for homes adjacent to the mining operations, is well documented by dozens of studies and reports. I have a copy to submit if you'd like a copy of those reports. 15 to 30% loss depending on the distance, and the area wind dancer is zoned residential, so you'd be permitting an active mining operation to occur next to a residential neighborhood of over 30 families.
And I ask you to send us those reports.
Absolutely, sir. This is a 4-page listing of documented, I'll send this to you, of reports that support mining use. Those are all the source materials. And that's from a peer-reviewed study in Johns Hopkins and also in the legal brief that has all of those listed as source materials for aggregate mining next to residential areas and
Across the states or just in Ohio?
across the states.
So did you give an average of the devaluation?
The average depreciation in most of those goes anywhere from, 15 to 30%, and it goes by a distance. I don't have that stat in front of me, but it does decrease. So anything within 1,000 to 2,000 feet is the highest percentage, up to 30% devaluation, and decreases over time as it spaces back. The second tenet underneath there, under the hazard and non-harmonious use, would be the noise pollution. The current dredging operation that's happening is approximately 4,000 feet from our homes. And the industrial noise, vibration, rumbling, trucks, and machinery can be heard clearly and intrusively. And permitting this request would allow that industrial noise to now occur within 350 yards of most of the existing homes and 150 yards or less from at least 6 of the homes. The air pollution, residents will be subjected to high levels of airborne dust carried directly over the short distance by consistent prevailing winds. And with any mining operations, even sand and gravel extraction, is the potential for release of silica dust, which is a known identified EPA hazard. It's been talked about.
You know what the prevailing wind is here.
Yes, the prevailing wind usually comes from the west as coming directly towards, at least wherever it is on my house on the hill.
Correct.
It was mentioned on the water availability and degradation that the aquifer would be affected. The statement is the aquifer would not be affected for depth, but I hold that to be untrue as the aquifer is held in the gravel base, and with the gravel base depleted, that would allow the aquifer to migrate out. And the biggest concern is that dredging operations has daylighted and exposed over 1 million square feet of the aquifer currently. And exposing this portion of the aquifer creates a potential hazard for contamination. So basically, the aquifer that we get our wells from is now visible from the road and has an exposure risk. If they would open up just that lower field, that would degrade another 2 million plus square feet. And so the loss of water and the water quality for our homes and our wells is very much a real and present threat.
Mr. Osborne, could I
Yes.
clarify? You said that it's currently exposed with the current operation?
Current operation along 123, the square footage of the area that has exposed the aquifer in there is about 1 million square feet.
Thank you.
It's already been stated about the traffic impact and the hazard with the large trucks carrying aggregate across Butter Street and causing overwhelmed Butter Street and Farmington. Now, these are facts that are there, but what I want to offer to support these facts, these are quotes directly from SRM's website. And their website has a page where they address social responsibility and sustainability. And these are quotes as from their words. Quote, "It is no secret that quarry operations are noisy. Blasting, crushing, conveying, loading, and hauling material is inherently loud." Second quote from SRM's website, "Water is vital in the production of concrete, not only in the final product, but in every step of the batching process. Since our concrete plants consume such high levels of water, we care about conservation, further depleting our aquifer." And the final one of the environmental challenges aggregate producers face is particulate emissions. And these are statements from SRM's website that bolster the facts I stated, that says that the traffic, noise and air pollution, water loss, and visual blight generated by this operation will negatively and directly impact all of the properties in this area for generations to come. The loss of 130 acres of valuable farmland alone should be enough to deny this. The health and quality of life for township residents, families, and 16 homes within 1,000 feet, subdivision with 32 homes, another 10 homes nearby for over 50 homes, negatively and permanently affects it. This request fails to provide a harmonious relationship, creates a hazard nuisance, and in doing so fails sections N, G, and J of Article 45 of the German Township zoning regulation. As our representatives and as our voice, we ask you to reject this request.
Can I ask what's your background?
Local boy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You have a profession?
Yes, sir. I work for Five Rivers Metro Parks, and I'm a land manager for the Park District. And so I'm also very concerned about the environment. I'm 3 generations in German Township. This is my family farm, or since my grandfather bought it, I'm 3rd generation there. And I care about the quality of the area. We live in one of the most valued areas as far as sanctity. I can speak that the ecological quality of our valley is second to none in the area. And any detriment, especially digging up our land and hauling it off one truck at a time, just does not sit well with me.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, you said the road superintendent gave us a report.
I have a
Is he
statement from
available
him.
to testify?
He is not here tonight. I have provided you guys with a copy, and he has asked me, he had a family obligation, but he's asked me to read his statement.
Go ahead, read it.
Okay. The statement is from Jeremy Holbrook. Sorry, he was unable to be here due to a family obligation. As the road and service administrator for the German Township Road Department, I would like to voice several concerns I have with the possible gravel extraction located on the northeast corner of Butter Street and State Route 123. Butter Street does not have the structure to support the heavy traffic that SRM produces on a daily basis with their mixer trucks. The addition of heavy traffic transporting gravel from the new location to the processing facility located on the other side of Butter will cause even more damage to Butter Street. And he has attached pictures that he has taken. SRM mixer trucks currently use Eckhart Road to return to the cement plant on Sugar Street. This is unnecessary as these trucks could use State Route 123. State routes were designed to support these heavy loads, and this route adds no additional travel time. I am concerned that the addition of a mining operation at the new location would increase the traffic on Eckhart Road as well. SRM has made no effort to repair any of the damage to the roadways caused by their equipment. Sugar Street, maintained by MCEO, is in extremely bad shape, with the berm being at least a foot higher than the roadway due to sediment buildup from the concrete plant. This inhibits the proper drainage of water from the roadway. The intersection of Butter Street and State Route 123 continuously has pothole pavement along the berm due to heavy truck traffic turning wide onto Butter Street. The entrance to the mixer cleanout location on Butter Street is starting to show wear with all the pavement markings scrubbed off from turning trucks. The berm at this location is also being damaged from trucks turning out of the clean out location. All of my concerns stem from the possible negative effect that this operation can have on the roads of German Township. The Road and Service Department is already operating on a shoestring budget with only 2 employees. The damage that could be caused by this operation will be extremely difficult to budget for. He goes out to say, please direct any additional questions to Jeremy Holbrook, Road Service Administrator, and his phone number.
Okay, we can't ask the paper any questions.
He wanted to be here.
Who is next?
I would like to add just on that note.
Your name and address.
My name is James Rowland, 10021 Carlisle Pike.
And you were sworn in.
Yes, I have been sworn in. Only thing I want to do right now is also just piggyback on that. I have pictures here also of this damage that they're talking about. That's at the intersection of, this one is along 123 where they just fixed it and the trucks are already running off the side of 123. Pictures of where the damage is at and what the intersection looks like and what damage they're doing to Butter Street down there.
All of these are on 123.
Well, no, I'm sorry. These are the intersection. This is where they turn in and are making wide turns so you can see where they're draining off the road.
So this is along Butter. Or this
That's on 123. That's in front of my house. So they make a wide turn. They run off the road there. They're destroying 123 and the state can't keep up with it being fixed.
So this is across the street.
This is across the street.
Intersection.
This is across the street. This is the other side of the corner there. And then these pictures are strictly Butter Street. And this is, if you go on up the road, this is right past that. So when they start talking about damage, this is as you come around. So that's all I wanted to talk about right now. I'll let somebody else talk about it. I just wanted to get those pictures.
Shauna, can you confirm Butter Street, Eckert Street, Farmington? Those are all township maintained roads. Is that correct? Okay. And Montgomery County is responsible for Sugar Street. Yeah, that's what he says. Montgomery County Engineers is responsible for Sugar Street. Do we know who's responsible for maintaining the railroad crossings?
Dubs Company.
Oops.
Thank you.
Okay. Who likes to?
I was not sworn in, sir. I was not sworn in.
Where tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Name and address, please.
My name is Scott Hall. I live at 10330 Carlisle Pike. Live in my grandparents' house. They moved up here from Kentucky after selling the farm. I was just a little boy, but that's neither here nor there. I wanted to clarify, I was speaking out of turn when I was talking about the railroads and whatnot. I worked here at this township for 10 years with Jeremy.
Oh,
And so that was part of my snow route, was that area out there. It's very close and near to my heart. 123 is maintained by the state. I have a state of ODOT shirt on because I now work there. I work for Greene County, live here in Montgomery County, grew up here, live here in Germantown. Look up there at our township logo. It has a tractor and a farm field. Doesn't have a gravel pit. That right there ought to mean something. I just wanted to explain why I knew who maintained what.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That's it. Who's next? Go for it.
I have been sworn in. My name's Alex Shard. I reside at 8184 Windancer Drive, Germantown. A lot of my concerns are consistent with other residents in the area. But with a background in finance, I did want to touch on some of the financial concerns if the conditional use is granted. Of course, there are lots of health concerns, environmental impacts, stuff like that residents will be forced to face if the conditional use is granted. So lots of families will be forced to make the decision to relocate, or if they stay there and face those negative impacts that could be presented. As many people know, home prices are rising, so are interest rates, making it less affordable and harder for families to relocate and find a new place to call home, especially when our property values will be decreasing due to the gravel extraction and mining. That was most of my concerns. I had some listed here, but most of those have been touched on, so I don't want to repeat those. But that was my one of the other things that I wanted to touch on that others have not yet.
So for your home, what's your estimated value of your house now?
Right now, it's probably somewhere around 400,000.
Thank you.
I was going to say, and as I believe it was Mr. Holbrook touched, or not Mr. Holbrook, but it was touched on earlier that could drop 15 to 30% in value just due to its location to the possible mining.
How far away are you from the location?
Yeah,
Our property adjoins.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh,
So you live at the far west side of Windancer,
Correct.
the end of the cul-de-sac.
Yep, yeah, our property, us and 3 others directly conjoin with the. Yeah. Any other questions?
you're on the,
Hello, I was sworn in. I'm Brent Onslinger, 7335 Lower Miamisburg Road. Family goes back to 1865 on the property I live on. I consider this part of my neighborhood. So deep roots in the neighborhood. I wanted to speak to the fact that you have several findings of fact that need to be voted on yes in order to approve this. And I don't think evidence supports a yes vote on 2 key findings. Defining E, the conditional use will be in harmony with the appropriate and orderly development of the district in which it is located with respect to its location and size and nature and intensity of the operation involved or connected with it. I do not think it will be in harmony with the district due to its nature and intensity of the operation involved. It will negatively impact the rural characteristic of the neighborhood in a drastic and impactful way. And thus, I don't think you can vote yes on findings of fact E. Findings of fact F states that the location, nature, and height of building structures, walls, and fences on the site, and the nature and extent of landscaping and screening on the site will not unreasonably hinder or discourage the appropriate development, use, and enjoyment of adjacent land, buildings, and structures. So let's focus on enjoyment of adjacent land. The adjacent land will unreasonably hinder, or the operation will adversely hinder the enjoyment of the adjacent land. When we think about the agricultural characteristics of the neighborhood, it will clearly have an impact to the enjoyment of the neighbors that abut it. I want to focus a little bit on the enjoyment of those who go to one of the gems of Montgomery County, which is the Highview Hill. What's different about the current gravel operation and the parcel in question is the view shed from that spot. When we talk about enjoyment of adjacent land, we're impacting what is the most treasured view shed of Montgomery County residents who enjoy Twin Creek Metro Park and Highview Shelter in that area. This parcel, while adjacent to an existing gravel operation, is very different when you consider the view from that park. That makes it completely different. It makes it unique, and it clearly impacts the enjoyment to everyone who goes up there, which is special to all of us who live in this neighborhood, but it's more special beyond this neighborhood. Is a gem of Montgomery County, that particular spot. Clearly, that's an impact that is different about that parcel versus the one that's deeper into the hill that you don't quite see from that angle. So with all that said, I don't think you can vote yes on those two findings of fact. Thus, with no votes on those two findings of fact, there's no way to pass this conditional use tonight. Thank you.
Tyler Raymer, 8198 Windancer Drive, Germantown. I've not been sworn in.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so I hope you got it.
I do. First, is this meeting being recorded tonight? I'd like to make a public record request to obtain an electronic version of the public recording. Good evening to the board, and thanks for your time and consideration. While I fully expect you to reaffirm what's already been decided on mining this exact stretch of ground around 2019, I'll at least highlight a few major reasons that we should once again deny this application. In 2019, the application, as you had already talked about, had been denied. So I just want to make sure that everyone's aware that this has already been addressed at one point in time. It may not have been a conditional use, but it was to mine this exact stretch of property. There's several factors that any qualified person could choose to oppose the application, such as noise pollution, air pollution, excessive road wear to our community, failure to meet the nuisance requirements of the resolution, unqualified screening and landscaping as demonstrated in the existing SRM property in the township, potential impact to surrounding well fields, and so on and so forth. I'll stick to three of these key facts upon which I believe the application should be denied. First, I feel like I have a bit of a unique perspective as I've sat on your side of the table to decide zoning cases in the past. I feel it's your responsibility, just as I felt it was mine when I sat in your chair, to ensure that the ruling is in line with the mission, goal, objective of the zoning department of the township, which you represent. Several people touched on this tonight. My understanding from my time on the zoning department while I was a trustee for the township was that the township desired to maintain a prime agricultural farming community that it is known for. In no way would approval of this application maintain that objective. That's number one. Number two, secondly, any decision you make here tonight will become further precedents for future applications. Similar to Mr. Looker's opening comments referring to the precedents, this judgment tonight will provide further precedents for future applications, potentially further expansion again by the existing applicant SRM. Mr. Looker referenced properties outside of German Township. Tonight, the decision is for precedents within our township. You are 5 members here this evening. You are the gatekeepers. You have to decide not only if the application is qualified for approval, which many of us tonight will detail why it's not qualified. However, if the application was approved, you would also have to enforce the adherence of it. And if the application had violated the resolution, how would you enforce that? I ask that because I believe the current SRM operation to be in conflict with several of the zoning resolutions on the existing property. SRM mentions in the application they'll use existing vegetation as a barrier. This existing vegetation on Butter Street, the border there against Butter Street of their existing established operation, is virtually non-existent, particularly during the 5 months between November and March. There's also no 10-foot berm on the border of Butter Street with the existing operation. In my opinion, the township is not prepared to enforce the evolution of this operation and the plans that the applicant has submitted. That includes mining the operations for the next 50 years with progressive movement across the land. The application provides for progressive plans, and I do not believe you guys are prepared to enforce that. Finally, Article 45, Section 4507 provides the requirements that applicant meet for conditional use to be approved. Section G states, I quote, "The application shall create a satisfactory and harmonious relationship between the development of the site and the existing and prospective development of contiguous land." I own contiguous land. The folks who stand behind me own contiguous land. I don't think it could be any more resounding that the application is not satisfactory or harmonious with the contiguous land. Mr. Looker mentioned in the instance where the denial of the mining operation or the zoning application was upheld by the courts, and he stated that it was denied on the grounds that the size and the nature of the mining operation was not congruent with the existing land use and development of the plans of the current properties. This point alone is explicit grounds and has been upheld by the courts to deny this application again tonight. Any questions, sir? Thank you.
Anyone else like the podium?
I'd like to finish what I started since he opened up the good door to that.
Give your name.
My name's James Rowland, 10021 Carlisle Pike. First, I'd like to bring to attention the application for conditional use plot that was put into, I was handed by the township, and it refers to parcel ID number D140081400021. And Harp Ranch LLC does not own that piece of property. If you look on the diagram here, the actual parcel is owned by Earl Mark Burgett. And so that is an incorrect note on there. So they don't even have the right parcel on their thing, first of all. Second of all, when you go to the description in the property, it says a statement of necessity or desirability has to be in place if you want a conditional use. So when we say necessity, SRM's statement for their necessity says SRM Materials has grown exponentially over the years and expanded through their original location in Tennessee. This facility needs to provide additional materials to support the community for construction projects throughout the state. And it additionally does jobs. And also, if you go back into their letter, they talk about their necessity. And my point is, they say the necessity of the proposed, if you, under Article 4, Section 406.02A2, requests a statement of necessity or desirability of the proposed use of the neighborhood. The necessity of the proposed use is due to the continued sand and gravel associated with SRM Materials. That has no necessity for our community whatsoever. So under the statement that there is a necessity for this, there is no necessity. As a matter of fact, I would like to say that I have since the last 20 years, I've tried to actually purchase concrete or gravel from their company, and I live across the street from, and they won't sell it to me. They only take the gravel and the concrete off to other places and other sites. So there is no necessity for this for our community. There is a necessity for the company, but not our community. Also, they go down, it says the community would be limited in the future for construction materials in the area. Well, what I would like to say is, if we give them our gravel now, if our community needs the gravel, all we're going to have is a hole in the ground. So there's no really reason for us to ship off our material for other projects in other areas and stuff. So I assert that there's no necessity for this project. I also assert that it says a statement of compatibility of the proposed use to the adjacent properties and land use. And as he spoke to, I have a map here. And if you look at the map of the project, and I'll give this to you guys, but if you go along the perimeter of the property that they're talking about, approximately 85% of the property is adjacent to either agricultural or residential, and only 15% of the land is actually adjacent to this particular piece of property that they're referencing as being a gravel pit. So I propose that the compatibility is with the 85%. It shouldn't be with the 15%. So it should stay that it currently is. Also, someone mentioned about the cost. I went back and in 2002, Vital Corporation got the okay to do the gravel pit that's there currently. And so I wanted to see how property taxes were affected. So I looked at two properties there, a parcel 23 and a 22. 2002, they had $5,354 in property taxes. In 2004, they were paying $145 in property taxes on those two properties. So that is a 97% reduction in the property taxes on the property that was converted from field to a gravel pit. So if you extend those numbers to the properties that we're talking about right now, we're currently getting $4,630 in property taxes from there. And if that same reduction occurs, it will go down to $138 a year. Therefore, we will lose like almost $4,100 a year in property taxes due to the switch from agriculture over to the gravel pit. Let's see. Let me see if I can get everything that I wanted to say. Oh, and then also, if you look into, he's talked about I have a lot of papers, so I apologize. Everybody spoke about in harmony. That's why I gave the thing with that. Also, item H in 406.05 says the conditional use desired will not adversely affect public health or safety. It is dangerous at the intersection of 123 and Butter Street. The roads, they continuously run off the roads. Cars get flat tires in front of my house all the time because the berms of the roads are getting tore up, and people, if they run over those, it busts their tires. And it's a safety issue. And I have never in the past said anything because I've looked and said, okay, this is going to be done in a couple of years and we're not going to have to worry about this anymore. And so now we're talking about starting it again. And then let's see, the last thing that I'm a little discombobulated. I went to a funeral today, so I apologize if I'm a little off. And then the last thing I would like to say is that I'm one of the people that own the property along through there. It's in exactly the same situation as theirs, and that if this passed, it would set a precedent, as he said, and that precedent would affect over 400 acres that's in that valley along through there. So Mr. Glander has property that it would affect because it would be adjacent to it. I have 37 acres of mine that would be affected by that. There's the Hummel property that's affected by that. There's a property across from Eckert Road that all are in exactly the same situation as this is. If this was okayed, and I'm formally stating that if for some crazy reason this is okayed, I'm going to be coming back in and requesting for an approval for conditional use on my property for the same thing. So I don't want that. Because I don't think that's what's best for the thing. But if we're going to put dollar signs on stuff and say our community doesn't matter, the only thing that matters is the dollars, then I want to have the same things as the other people have. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I am Rachel Albert and I live at 8121 Starry Night Drive. Many of my points have already been made. I'm mainly concerned about the health and safety. Every day when my kids leave the neighborhood, they travel by bus. They go down Farmington Road and Butter Street. Those roads are already very narrow and they're not set up to take additional concrete truck traffic. I've also have a little handout here that has a list of the key concerns that residents have, as well as some concerns that we already have about the SRM company that is there. On my way here tonight, as I was stopped at the stop sign at Butter Street and Farmington Road, you can see directly through to see all of the mining operations that are currently going on. And one of the key points is that there has to be screening and beautification to the roadways and adjacent properties. So right off the bat, I'm concerned that there's already some key points in the zoning resolution that are not being followed.
Rachel, can you come?
Okay, sure.
Hello, okay.
Oh, she needs questions.
Your first statement here says the parcel is composed of a majority prime agricultural soil, actually cultivated. Do you have any idea the percentage of that parcel?
I know that there is prime agricultural soil through there. I don't know the exact percentage.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Hello, my name is Glenn Staffieri. I live at 8182 Starry Night Drive. And I think I heard you didn't want repeats of what everybody was bringing up. So I'll make it short and sweet. I pretty much think that everybody in this meeting feels the same way I do, that whatever this gentleman right here said is spot on. And I was looking at that when the gentleman said about the farm, and all I can say is this real quick. Coming here, we came down Farmington, we made a right onto Butter Street. And I told my wife, look at that. Look what that looks like. It's horrible. It's horrible. And now we're gonna have another one of those? So I oppose it, and I just thank you for your time.
Anyone else? Please.
Rhonda Lygaber. I live at 10066 Carlisle Pike. I'm adjacent to this property, and one of the concerns that I have that I don't think has been addressed is the 8 acres that they aren't addressing. Last time it had been discussed as a staging area. So none of that has been discussed at this time. As you don't want repeats, that's fine, but I have already done my own research as far as quarries are concerned. Regardless of what they support or provide or whatever, quarries disrupt the existing movement, surface and groundwater, and interrupt the natural water recharge and can reduce the quantity and quality of drinking water. And what I heard them say is it's not going to interfere that much, is what was said. As far as the reclamation, this is agricultural. Reclamation is it planned to be returned to agriculture because nothing will grow there at that point. It's no different than a home builder that buries the rest of their building material in the front yard. The homeowner comes in, plants a tree, and doesn't know why the tree doesn't grow. Reclamation, I don't have the statistics and I'm able to provide you information like that. But in my own research, I did find that at least about, even in Ohio, less than half of the land disturbed for aggregate production actually becomes reclaimed. And what that means is it never grows what grew there before.
What's your reference for that statement?
I just have a study. I didn't know it would need to be that specifically detailed.
That's fine.
As far as exposure and health concerns, the weather patterns, I don't have specifics on that. This is my own observations. How many days I don't have the ability to open up the windows. The current aggregate facility knocks up fine dust on very windy days. I am limited now when I can open my windows. That I consider a nuisance. I am confined to.
How far do you live from the current operation?
0.2.
Got the answer, thank you.
Okay. However, exposure to fine dust does impact health. Aggregate exposure does have long-term health effects. Repeated exposure finds its way permanently into the lungs, causes chronic lung disease issues. Chronic is lifelong. You'll never get rid of it. The general public may not see this, but with 30 plus years as a nurse and 20 years in ICU, I observe this firsthand and I can attest to chronic lung issues, and it's not just from smoking. Noise. I noticed them starting to dredge every day in January, every day, 7 days a week. Dredging equipment was heard. We couldn't even see the dredging equipment. Continued to hear it every day, no matter what the weather was, whether it was 20 degrees, whatever. As well as the backup alerts on the vehicles is almost nonstop. When we finally did locate the dredging machine that is currently in use, it is just south of Neffs, and that is 0.8 miles from my house. So basically 1 mile So this will be basically in my backyard, and I will maybe not be able to enjoy my back porch. Butter Street, we've talked about that. I want to add to the debris that I see on the road. This is noticed by other members of this community. Butter Street is a highly traveled road to Germantown. I have, since they have been in operation, I have not seen so much debris on the road. It appears to be disregarded. Gravel and mud is there on a regular basis. It's muddy on rainy days and significantly dusty on dry days. The one a resident here mentioned this what I call the sludge pond, which appears to be worse than it was. It looked like it was being filled in. And if you look at it from Google Maps, which everybody has access to, it appears very toxic. And so on a point with this 7 days a week, I personally don't impact any of my neighbors every day. As far as the concrete that we're running out of it is practically located. I don't have that statistic either. I didn't know that would be a thing. But you look around all of Ohio and pretty much every county has concrete or aggregate. And what I see SRM supplying right now is 75. I have seen SRM concrete trucks there. As far as the noise, I would like to mention that 7:30 on Thursday, March 7th, backup alerts nonstop. 12:30 in the afternoon, backup alerts. Truck entering butter, current piles were dusty. 12:50 in the afternoon, concrete truck exiting onto butter going north. Once again, 12:42, another truck exiting going north. 16:30 in the afternoon, backup alerts nonstop. 5 o'clock in the
Are
afternoon.
these all SRM trucks?
Some of them were, no, some of them were the blue and white ones. Ernst, is that still Ernst? Is Ernst
It was picked.
green? So the same thing on Friday, 7:30 in the morning. Back alerts start up nonstop. Those backup alerts last anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds, maybe a 5-minute, 10-minute pause, and they start right up again. 8:30 in the morning, a dump truck emptying to existing piles on butter. You can hear the banging, the emptying of the dump truck. Same thing at 9:05. 14:10, concrete truck leaving, headed north on butter. 14:40, concrete truck entering service. Another service truck was there. And at 8 p.m. on Friday, I could still hear backup alerts and the lights were on.
Do they operate any time after 10 p.m.?
I don't know. Can't answer that. But they do operate on Saturdays. So they're on 3/9 this last Saturday, 7:30. Backup alerts started again, pretty much nonstop. Dredging was occurring. I visualized 2 different concrete trucks at 8:05, concrete truck leaving north on butter. 8:10, concrete leaving butter going south. 2 concrete trucks entering at 8:30, 1 concrete truck leaving north on butter. At 4:30 in the afternoon, dredging still going on. And at 19:30 on Saturday night, lights. And dredging still going
Do
on.
they do any operation on Sunday?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I did have some Sunday here. Yes, Sunday. Actually, Sunday morning started at 7. Dredging started at 7, along with the backup alerts. I had other things going on at 1400 in the afternoon. It was still going on, and at 3 o'clock, we still heard the backup alerts. And as far as the existing tree line, I just want to find out that as final thing. The existing tree line between my property and the property that is in discussion here is honeysuckles, trees that are half dead, and trees that are in other trees that are in not good condition. And I have never been asked if that's been an adequate barrier from the company. I think that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I forgot one thing. James Rowland. I was at the township trustee meeting last night and I asked them regarding SRM's operations. And they told me that SRM is in violation when they run their dredge at night with their lights. And I've noticed that 3 or 4 times. They've done that. I haven't. And so next time I do it, I'm going to take a picture. Obviously it's happened because she saw it also. They have a big dredge and they have big lights up on it. And the zoning specifies, according to the trustees, that they're not allowed to be doing anything in the dark. It has to all be done in the day. So
Sunrise.
SRM, yeah, so they're currently in violation of what we've already granted them.
Does anyone else want to testify? Opposition? Yeah.
Name is John Naylor, at 8510 Farmington Road.
You've been sworn in.
Yeah. Okay, I live up a hill of Farmington Road, come off of Butter Street up there. And these big trucks come up there all the time. And they will almost, not intentionally, but when you're off the road, or they're so big, there are kids out there that are playing. My neighbor here, you got grandkids that are out there. And these big trucks are so big, probably can't see them. And there's a cemetery over there, Schwartzel Cemetery, right across from my house. But these trucks, they actually, I don't want to say they fly, but they speed by there real fast. All hours of the day, the weekend. I have not seen them at night, late at night, but I see them all day. And like I said, on the weekends, they are so big. You better get out of the way. You better get off, or you won't pass it. I mean, I'm guarantee you, the road is so narrow. They're talking about Farmington Road, which I live on. They ain't hard enough for 2 vehicles alone. Those are big trucks go up there. I mean, they're huge trucks. And you're up there and like, I got a pickup truck. It's hard to even pass one of them. Also got a Suburban. You can't hardly go past them because they are so big. The drivers, they're courteous, and I don't want to say anything about them. They try, but just way too much traffic. Talk about maintenance on that road. I don't see any maintenance on that road, and I live there. I hear it every time I come to these meetings, which is pretty often. We're going to do maintenance on Farmington Road. Well, I will invite anybody to go home with me, and I'll show you big holes right now. There's no maintenance. Or very, well, I shouldn't say no, very little, because there's huge holes at the end of Farmington and Butter Street. They're big, where if you go out, bust a tar or whatever. It's for those reasons and for the safety of the children that's running up and down there that I oppose it.
Anyone else want to testify in opposition?
I haven't been sworn in.
Better tell the truth.
I do. My name is Charlie Booth. I live at 10252 Carlisle Pike. We just moved in May of last year, but we love the area. I work for the city of Kettering Street Department, matter of fact, and I avoid taking Farmington to Butter because the road's so bad. It's gravelly. I mean, it needs at least a street sweeper on there to clean it up. And we also ride motorcycles. So you can't ride a motorcycle down that road. It's too dangerous. And I'm like a new rider. So I mean, I'm a Marine, so I'm not real scared of anything, but I don't like going down that road. Anyway, I take the long way home, actually. I go through Carlisle to 133 to my house. It takes me longer, but it's safer. So just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Right, a question, not necessarily a statement. Myself and, I'm sorry, I was sworn in. Yes, yes, sir. I apologize again. Alex Chartle, 8184 Wind Dancer Drive. Okay, there was myself and four other neighbors were notified with the 300 feet notice. I don't know what happened on Carlisle Pike, who was notified. If that SRM appeals this, who would be notified and who has to notify us?
If SRM appeals.
Appeals and goes to Miamisburg
No,
Court. I'm sorry, wouldn't be notified that.
the appeal is by the magistrate. He looks at this, we're recording this, it'll be a transcript. You'll be reviewing the transcript, what was been presented here at tonight's hearing.
Okay, my neighbor Tyler.
No, there'll be no witnesses, no testimony given at the appeal. Strictly denied.
Okay, all right, so no notification of our property opinion changes. Okay, all right, thank you.
Anyone else? Has the applicant appeared? Are you not the applicant?
Earl Burgett again, 8830 Farmington Road. This will be all the way around my house. I was just recently notified that this map that I seen. She said that they're only gonna mine so much gravel per year. According to them, who holds them liable?
Who holds the what?
Holds them liable for that amount. The way they're working right now, 7 days a week, 14 hours a day. Sunday was 14, 13 and a half. They'll be done with all of it in a couple years. My concerns are the water levels, the testing of the wells. On the maps, I have 2 wells on my property, and they're not located on there at all. I'm just wondering about the wells and concerns. I have concerns about the water and the health. That's all I've got today.
Anyone else?
I've been sworn in. My name's Gary Stemp. Live at 10040 Carlisle Pike. Right at the corner of Butter Street, 123. And if they go put this 10-foot wall around their whole property there, that's all I'll see from my house. Bought it 30 years ago to retire in the country. And this is what they're going to pin me into. Along with the housing rate, the value's going down.
Your property is agricultural?
Yeah. Yeah. But the other thing I'm worried about is the water, because my well's only 15 feet deep. And I'm right beside the property they're doing. If they get down any further than that, they're gonna be right into my water. And everything else I have is with Michael Osborne covered.
Anyone else, please? All right. I think at this point, we're going to close the public hearing. Go into.
So we'll close the public hearing. It is 8:14 PM. All right, we are back at 8:34. Is there any other further discussion or comments from the board?
I've got to turn the,
Say it again.
do a roll call on the standards.
Is there any other further discussion or comments from the board?
Is there any comments? No.
Okay. 406.04 standards for conditional use. The board shall not grant a conditional use unless it shall, in each specific case, make specific findings of fact directly based upon the particular evidence presented to it that support conclusions. A, the proposed conditional use will comply with all applicable regulations of this resolution, including lot size requirements, development standards, and use limitations. Pete Lurker.
No.
Valerie Hill.
No.
Adam Blakely.
No.
Joe Schaller.
No.
And William Heaston.
No.
Adequate utility, drainage, and other such necessary facilities have been or will be provided. Pete Lurker.
Yes.
Valerie Hill.
Yes.
Adam Blakely.
Yes.
Joe Schaller.
No.
William Heaston.
No.
Adequate access roads or entrance and exit drives will be provided and will be so designed as to prevent traffic hazards and to minimize traffic conflicts and congestion in public streets and alleys. Pete Lurker.
No.
Valerie Hill.
No.
Adam Blakely.
No.
Joe Schaller.
No.
William Heaston.
No.
All necessary permits and licenses for the use and operation of the conditional use have been obtained or evidence has been submitted that such permits are obtainable for the proposed conditional use of the subject property. Pete Lurker.
No.
Valerie Hill.
No.
Adam Blakely.
No.
Joe Schaller.
No.
William Heaston.
No.
All exterior lights for artificial open air illumination are so shaded as to avoid casting direct light upon any property located in a residential district. Pete Lurker.
Yes.
Valerie Hill.
No.
Adam Blakely.
No.
Joe Schaller.
No.
William Heaston.
No.
The location and size of the conditional use, the nature and intensity of the operation involved or conducted in connection with it, the size of the site in relation to it, and the location of the site with respect to streets giving access to it shall be such that it will be in harmony with the appropriate and orderly development of the district in which it is located. Pete Lurker.
No.
Valerie Hill.
No.
Adam Blakely.
No.
Joe Schaller.
No.
William Heaston.
No.
The location and nature and height of buildings, structures, walls, and fences on the site, and the nature and extent of landscaping and screening on site shall be such that use will not unreasonably hinder or discourage the appropriate development, use, and enjoyment of adjacent land, buildings, and structures. Pete Lurker.
No.
Valerie Hill.
No.
Adam Blakely.
No.
Joe Schaller.
No.
William Heaston.
No.
The conditional use desired will not adversely affect the public health, safety, and morals. Pete Lurker.
No.
Valerie Hill.
No.
Adam Blakely.
No.
Joe Schaller.
No.
William Heaston.
No.
Is there a motion to grant or deny case 2024-01 CU as presented or with any stipulations the board would choose to impose?
I move to deny case number 2024-01 CU as presented.
Second.
A roll call on that, please.
Pete Lurker.
No to deny. Is that correct?
Deny.
Valerie Hill.
Deny.
Adam Blakely.
Deny.
Joe Schaller.
Vote to deny.
And William Heaston.
Vote to deny.
Motion has failed. Applicant has 30 days to appeal the BZA decision to the Montgomery County Court of Common Pleas. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Aye.
Time is 8:38 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Let's watch Watson Horns for 30 days.